Last week we talked about Gloria choosing freedom. This week we're going to talk about another really incredible case. It was November 2007, around the 25th, I believe it was, that investigators came into our office and told us a horrible story. There was this man who had been in prison for raping his 16-year-old daughter, and he had gotten out on conditional release, which means that he has to go to the court every week and sign the book to prove that he hasn't run off somewhere. It's kind of their form of probation. And when he was released from prison, he went to his ex-wife and took the younger children from the ex-wife and moved them up onto a mountain. There was a boy who was 14 years old, a girl who was 10, and a girl who was 8. So one Sunday, he left the 3 children alone on the mountain so that he could head down to Tegucigalpa, so he would be there first thing Monday morning to sign the book. Monday morning, in the early hours, neighbors, and we're talking about a really remote place, from the house on the mountaintop, you couldn't see any other neighbors. There was just a path that, you walk maybe half a mile to a mile and there's another cabin, and you walk another half a mile and there's a cabin. But some woman was walking down this path, and she had gone over to the house and heard some strange noises, and she went in and she found the 10-year-old girl and the 14-year-old boy half dead. And the boy had been beaten on the head with a log, and the young girl had been raped with an object, we believe with a stick, and left to die. And the 8-year-old was missing. So the authorities said, we need to go up there. And we just had gotten our truck. We'd saved for 2.5 years to buy our truck for cash. It's 4-wheel drive, turbo, Frontier, Nissan Frontier. And we'd only had it for about 3 weeks. And so the authorities came and said that they needed us to go up on this mountain so that they could examine the crime scene and see what they could do to find the missing 8-year-old girl. So we started our journey to get there, and about 2 hours from the police post, that the Jefatura office, we came to this bridge. Now, it's not a bridge as you would imagine a bridge to be. Imagine a cement slab, 90 feet long, 100 feet long, and probably about 8 feet wide. That was the bridge, just this slab that went across this river. And at this time, we had had a great deal of rain, and the river was actually overflowing. And on both sides of the river, there was a beach-like area. You come off the road into this beach-like area, and there's the river, and there's the bridge. And I don't know how to explain this to you without having a picture, but the force of the water, and there was so much water in the river, was so great that you could not even see the cement slab bridge. The water was probably about a foot deep, going over the bridge and then falling about 4 feet, like a waterfall on the right side. And on the left side, you could see that from years of wear and tear, there were pieces of the bridge that had worn out. They looked like, when you take a bite of a cookie, you have that half moon shape. So along the left side, you could see puckers in the water that's cascading over the bridge, identifying the spots where these bites were taken out of the bridge. The pieces were missing. Now my truck, the width of my truck, it was probably only about 6 feet, and the bridge was about 8 feet wide. And if you know from the news, when you see that there's rains and there's flooded water, that it only takes a few inches of water to move a vehicle. And there were 15 of us in the truck. There were 5 of us in the cab, and there were 10 in the truck bed. It's called a pila, so if I say pila, you'll know it's the truck bed. And they're telling me we have to cross this bridge. And I'm looking at all of this water going over the bridge, and I'm thinking about only a couple inches. I'm thinking if we drive over this bridge, it's gonna, if I go too far to the left, it's gonna pull, the wheels will go off, and then the force of the water will pull us down and pin us on the left side of the bridge. And if I get too close to the right side of the bridge and the water pushes us, we'll flip over and have the waterfall on top of us and be trapped underneath that. And in all reality, and the nature of the situation, in all reality, if we crossed that bridge, we were not going to make it across. We were going to die. And they're all screaming at me, go Gracie, we have to go. Go Gracie, those kids, there's a missing little girl, we have to go. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, I can't do this. We can't do this. It's not safe. It's a guaranteed death trap. And then all of a sudden, there was this little boy, about 10 years old. The only thing he was wearing, I remember, was this little pair of red shorts. He was barefoot, didn't have a shirt on. And he's standing to the front left, and he's walking out on the bridge, and he's going like this. Come. 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 And the guys are all screaming at me, Gracie, let's go, let's go, let's go. He's going to guide us across the bridge. You know, he's going to help you know where to stay on the left side of the bridge. And I just was like, okay, God, we have to do this. There are 2 children almost dead in the hospital, and there's an 8-year-old girl who's missing. And we have to cross this bridge. So I said a prayer, and, you know, and I was terrified. I'm not going to lie to you. I was terrified. And I just grabbed the steering wheel, and I started moving across the bridge. And the little boy was just going like this. He kept saying coming, and I'm trying to stay. I could feel the car start to wobble. And I just kept my eyes on the little boy, and he kept going, come. And holding I think I put fingerprints into the steering wheel. And we're going across this bridge, and the truck is moving back and forth and rocking, and the police are screaming at me, let's go, go faster, let's go. And we finally make it to the other side of the bridge. And as the back wheels pull up out of the water, little boy's in front of us, I just put my head down and I go, thank you, Jesus. I was just so overwhelmed and relieved that we made it across that bridge. And when I lifted my head up, and it was only a second or so, there's this big beach in front of me, and the little boy is gone. And I looked to see if he's back on the bridge, and he's not on the bridge. And I'm looking through the beach area, and I look at the road, and you can see the road go up for quite a ways, and he's not there. And I'm like, where's the little boy? Where's the little boy? I'm telling you, it was only seconds. I put my head down, and I said, thank you, Jesus. And I pulled my head up, and he was gone. Vanished. And the police said, it doesn't matter, let's go. And I remember the officer, the investigator sitting next to me, he hated me. He was always very difficult with us. He looks at me and he goes, ha ha ha, you know, I never thought you'd be afraid of anything. And I looked at him, and I remembered a sermon that I had heard 30 years ago, where the pastor said that courage was not the absence of fear. Courage was the decision that there was something more important than that fear. And so that bridge, we had to cross it. And I was terrified. The whole way across it, I was terrified. But I just kept my eyes on the boy, and I kept saying, help us, Jesus, help us, Jesus, help us, Jesus. I just was frozen in that position. And I yelled at that guy, and I said, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Having courage to do this thing doesn't mean you're not afraid. And we went on. But the more I think about the little boy, none of the officers saw where he went. There was not enough time for him to go up the road without us seeing him. I truly believe with all of my heart that little boy was an angel. That I don't want to cry while I'm talking to you, because I just remembering the terror of driving across that bridge. That I knew we were gonna die, but I knew that we had to cross it. And the boy vanished. I really believe that boy was an angel sent by God, because nobody saw where he came from. He was just suddenly there, going, come. And there was just this peacefulness about him. It was like he was in slow motion. I don't know how to describe it. But we got to the other side, and I told them, we need to find another way out, because I'm not going across that bridge again. And we did later, after we completed our mission. In our next episode, I'm going to tell you the rest of this story. But whatever you face, whether it be crossing a terrible bridge that you have to cross. I mean, you don't just cross bridges underwater like that for anything, but if there's something that God tells you you have to do and you step out in obedience, even if it's terrifying, just know that God will protect you. He will keep you safe, no matter what you face. He will never leave you, and He will never forsake you. So that's our testimony for today, our story for today on Journey to Justice. And next week, I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. It's absolutely amazing what God did. God bless.